The spaceship Horizon's Edge moved slowly through the darkness of space. Inside, 12 humans waited nervously. They were going to meet aliens for the first time in human history, not just any aliens. They were going to meet the Ethon Dominion, an empire that had conquered 17 star systems, an empire ruled by a queen who had lived for 4,000 years. Park Doyon sat in the corner of the meeting room trying to make himself small. He was 19 years old. He was not supposed to be here. 3 days ago, the senior linguist got very sick. They needed someone who could learn alien languages fast. Du Yun was the best young linguist on Earth, so they put him on the ship. Now he wished they had picked someone else. Kim Yuna, the leader of their group, walked over to him. She was a tall woman with kind eyes and gray hair. She had been a diplomat for 30 years. You look scared, she said. I am scared, Dehoun admitted. Everyone here has done this work for years. I just finished university. Yuna smiled. Sometimes fresh eyes see things old eyes miss. Just stay calm. Watch, learn, you will be fine, Lee Jiho, the military officer, called out from the front of the room. We are arriving. Everyone prepare. Du stood up and joined the others. Through the window, he saw the Ethon throne world. It was a massive planet, dark purple, with rings of silver light around it. Thousands of ships floated near it. Each ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The Horizon's Edge landed in a giant hangar. When the doors opened, Du Hun felt his heart stop. Ethon warriors stood in lines on both sides of their path. They were 8 ft tall. Their skin was dark blue and shining, like they were covered in tiny stars. Each one had 4 arms. Each one looked like they could kill a human with one finger. There were thousands of them. The humans walked forward slowly. Their footsteps echoed in the huge hall. Nobody spoke. Du Yun stayed at the back of the group, behind the important people. He tried not to look at the warriors. He tried not to show his fear. They entered the throne room. It was the biggest room Dun had ever seen. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. Strange lights floated in the air like trapped stars, and at the far end, on a throne made of crystal that glowed with inner light, sat Queen Valera. She was beautiful and terrifying, taller than her warriors. Her skin was pale silver. Her eyes were completely gold with no white part at all. On her head was a crown of actual fire, burning but not hurting her. When she looked at the humans, Dun felt like she was looking through him, seeing everything he had ever been and everything he would ever become. Yuna stepped forward and bowed. Great Queen of the Ethon Dominion, we come in peace. We bring gifts from Earth and hope for friendship between our peoples. The Queen did not respond. She sat perfectly still, watching. Other humans stepped forward. They presented gifts, technology, art, music, cultural items from every nation on Earth. They gave speeches about cooperation and mutual respect. The Queen listened to everything. Her face showed nothing. June thought the meeting was going well. The Queen had not attacked them. She had not sent them away. Maybe this would work. Then the Queen stood up. Entire room went silent. Every Ethon dropped to one knee. The humans did not know what to do. They stood frozen. Queen walked down from her throne. She moved like water, smooth and unstoppable. She walked past Yuna. She walked past Jiho. She walked past every important human in the delegation. She Stopped in front of Dun, he could not breathe, he could not move, she was so close he could feel heat from her crown. Her gold eyes looked into his and he felt like his soul was being read like a book. Your name, she said, her voice was deep and musical, like many voices speaking at once. Peered down, he managed to say. She studied him for a long moment, then she turned to face the entire room. When she spoke again, her voice filled every corner of the massive hall. This one, he will be mine. The room exploded into noise. Ethan warriors shouted in confusion. The human delegation rushed forward. Yuna grabbed Du Yun and LT Lunk and GT's arm and pulled him back. Jiho stepped between them and the queen, his hand on his weapon. What is the meaning of this? Yuna demanded, her diplomatic calm finally breaking. A tall Ethan with red markings on his face stepped forward. Du Yan would later learn this was High Commander Draxus. The queen has made royal claim, he said. His voice was full of disgust. On a human, a child. What does that mean? Yuna asked. They claim, an older female Ethan in white robes answered. This was Priestess Nia. A royal claim is the highest honor our queen can give. It has not happened in 300 years. The claim stands beside the queen as an equal. They share her power, her throne. The humans looked at each other in shock. There must be a mistake, Di-hun said. His voice was shaking. I am nobody. I am just a translator. I should not even be here. Queen Valara turned back to him for a moment, just a moment. Her terrifying face softened. There is no mistake, young human, she said. I have lived 4,000 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have learned to recognize potential before it blooms. She reached out and touched his face. Gently, her fingers were cool. You carry a light inside you that you cannot yet see, but I see it, and I will not let it fade. She turned and walked back to her throne. The claiming ceremony will be in 30 days. Until then, the humans are my guests. Anyone who harms them will die. She sat down and closed her eyes as if nothing unusual had happened. Dawn stood in the middle of the throne room, surrounded by angry aliens and confused humans, and wondered how his life had gone so wrong so fast. The humans were given rooms in the palace, beautiful rooms with soft beds and strange glowing plants, but nobody could sleep. They gathered in Yuna's room to talk about what had happened. We need to leave, Jiho said. He was pacing back and forth like a trapped animal. We take Doi, we get on our ship, we go home. We cannot, Yuna said. Her face was tired. Priestess Nia explained it to me. If Di-han refuses the claim, it is the same as declaring war. The Ethan will destroy Earth. So what do we do? Kaimi asked. She was the team scientist, a small woman with glasses and nervous hands. We just give him to her like a gift. I am right here, Dun said quietly. Everyone looked at him. He was sitting in the corner, knees pulled up to his chest. You can talk to me, not about me. Yuna walked over and sat beside him. How are you feeling? Scared, confused, angry. He laughed, but there was no happiness in it. This morning I was worried about saying the wrong word in a translation. Now an alien queen wants to what? Marry me? Own me? The claim is not marriage, Yuna said. From what I understand, it is more like choosing an heir, a partner, someone to share power with. But why me? Du asked. There are diplomats here, scientists, soldiers, people who matter. I am just a kid who is good at languages. Nobody had an answer. That night Di Yun could not sleep. He stood by his window, looking out at the alien city below. It was beautiful in a strange way. Towers of crystal, rivers of light, flying vehicles moving silently through the air. He heard his door open. When he turned, Queen Valara was standing there. Du Yan's heart jumped. He stepped back. Hitting the window, the queen was alone. No guards, no servants. She wore simple, dark robes instead of her royal clothes. Without her crown of fire, she looked almost normal. Do not be afraid, she said. I did not come to hurt you. Then why did you come? Di Yun asked. His voice was braver than he felt. To talk, only to talk. She walked into the room and sat on a chair by the wall. You have questions, ask them. Di Yun stayed by the window, keeping distance between them. Why me? Because you are different. I am not different. I am ordinary. The queen smiled. It changed her whole face. She looked less like a goddess and more like a person. That is exactly why you are different. Everyone else in your group has been shaped by their position. Your leader thinks like a diplomat. Your soldier thinks like a warrior. They have become their roles, but you, she tilted her head, studying him. You are still becoming. You have not yet decided who you will be. That is a bad thing, Du Yun said. It means I do not know what I am doing. No, it means you can still grow in any direction. It means you are full of possibility. She stood and walked closer. Du Yun did not run. I have lived 4,000 years, young human. I have seen everything done, everything, conquered everything, and somewhere along the way I stopped changing. I became frozen, perfect and unchanging like a statue. She stopped in front of him, this close he could see that her golden eyes had tiny specks of silver in them like stars. When I first felt humans enter my space, I was curious. Such a young species, so small, so weak, but also so alive. You chain constantly, you grow, you surprise yourselves. She reached out and touched his chest over his heart. You carry chaos inside you, beautiful, terrifying chaos. And when I looked at your delegation, searching for the purest example of humanity's potential, I found you, the youngest, the most unsure, the one still becoming. Du Yun swallowed hard. What if I do not want this? What if I just want to go home and live a normal life? Then tell me that, the queen said simply. Tell me you truly do not want this, and I will find another way. I will not force you. That would destroy the very thing that makes you valuable. Di Yan opened his mouth to say yes, send me home, but the words did not come. Because part of him, a small part, was curious. Part of him wondered what would happen if he stayed, what he might become. The queen saw his hesitation. She smiled again. You do not have to decide now. You have 30 days before the ceremony. Use that time. Learn about us. Learn about yourself. Then choose. She turned to leave. Wait, Dunnan said. She stopped. Everyone here hates me. Your people, I mean, they think you made a mistake choosing a human. Yes, they do. Will they try to hurt me? The queen's eyes went cold. For a moment Dunn saw the ruler who had conquered 17-star systems. If anyone touches you, I will burn their bloodline from existence. Every child, every parent, every ancestor's grave, they know this. She softened again. But you will have to prove yourself eventually, not to me, to them. There will be trials, challenges. It will be difficult, and if I fail, then you fail, and we find another path. She opened the door, but I do not think You will fail, Park Dhy. I think you will surprise everyone, including yourself. She left. Doi stood alone in his room for a long time, thinking about chaos and potential and the strain feeling growing in his chest. It was not quite hope, but it was close. The next morning he told Yuna his decision. He would stay, he would try, not because he wanted power or glory, but because running away felt wrong, because somewhere in the Queen's words he had heard something true. He did not know who he was yet. Maybe this was how he would find out. Yuna hugged him. Jiho promised to protect him. Mary promised to study everything about Ethan biology to help him. They were afraid. They were all afraid, but they were also together. And in 30 days, Diam would face his first trial. The trial of mind came first. Down stood at the entrance of a massive maze made of black stone. Thousands of Ethan watched from seats above, their golden eyes staring down at him with doubt and hatred. Priestess Nia explained the rules. The maze changes. It reads your thoughts and becomes your worst mental challenge. You must reach the center before time runs out. Most warriors take 3 hours. The fastest ever was 1 hour. What happens if I fail? Doi asked. Then you fail. The Queen's claim is not cancelled, but her people will see you as unworthy. Your life here will become very difficult. Doan looked up at the crowd. He saw High Commander Draxus watching with a cruel smile. He saw the Queen sitting on a floating throne, her face showing nothing. He saw his human friends in a small section looking terrified. I am ready, he said. He entered the maze. At first it seemed normal. Stone walls, dark corridors, but then the walls started moving. The floor tilted. Strange sounds echoed around him. The maze was trying to confuse him, to make him panic. Duyun stopped walking. He sat down in the middle of the corridor and closed his eyes. The crowd murmured in confusion. What was the human doing? Down was thinking. He was a linguist. He understood patterns. Languages were patterns, codes were patterns, and this maze was speaking to him in a language of walls and shadows. He listened. He felt the vibrations in the floor when walls moved. He heard the tiny sounds the maze made, and slowly, like learning a new alphabet, he began to understand. The maze moved in patterns, complex patterns, but patterns. If he could learn the pattern, he could predict where the walls would go. He opened his eyes and started walking. Left, right, straight, left. Again, he moved quickly now, not running, but not slow. The walls shifted around him, but he was always one step ahead. He knew where they would be before they moved. The crowd went silent. This had never happened before. No one had ever learned the maze's language. Duyan reached the center in 47 minutes. The fastest time in Ethan history. The trial of body came next. Doan had to fight 3 opponents, one after another. The first was a young Ethan warrior. The second was an older veteran. The third was a combat champion. You will lose, Jay told him the night before. Athan are stronger, faster, and bigger than humans. You cannot beat them in a fair fight. Then I will not fight fair, Dihun said. The first opponent laughed when he saw Dihun enter the fighting ring. The human was so small, so weak. This would be easy. The Ethan attacked with perfect form, a spinning kick that had defeated a H-100 red enemies, but Dun was not where the kick landed. He had moved in a strange, awkward way that no trained warrior would ever move. He stumbled to the side like a drunk person. The Ethan attacked again and again, every time. Do-Hyen moved in ways that made no sense. He fell down, he rolled, he jumped. Backwards, he did nothing a warrior should do. And the Ethan could not hit him. Mir had helped him understand. Ethan warriors trained for thousands of years. They knew every fighting style in the galaxy. But humans were new. Humans had fighting styles the Ethan had never seen, and more importantly, humans were unpredictable. Do-Hyen was not trying to fight like a warrior, he was trying to fight like a scared animal. No patterns, no forms. Just pure survival instinct. The first Ethan got tired from attacking. Nothing. Do-Hyen pushed him out of the ring. Victory. The second opponent was smarter. She waited, watching Do-Hyen move. But while she watched, Do-Hyen threw sand in her eyes. While she was blind, he kicked her knees. She fell. He pushed her out. Victory. The crowd was angry. Now, this was not honorable fighting. The third opponent, the champion, was ready. He closed his eyes, fighting by sound and feel alone. Sand would not work. Unpredictable movement would not work. Do-Hyen did the only thing he could. He talked. You know, she did not choose me because I am strong, he said, dodging a massive fist. She chose me because I am different, because humans are different. The champion attacked. Again, Do-Hyen kept talking. Your empire has been the same for thousands of years. Same fighting styles, same thinking, same everything. You are powerful, but you are frozen. Silence. The champion roared. We are weak. Done. Continued, but we change, we grow. Every generation, we become something new. That terrifies you, does it not? The champion lost his temper. He attacked wildly, without control. His foot stepped outside the ring. Do-Hyen had won without landing a single blow. The trial of spirit was last. Dunn was taken to a dark room and given a drink that made his head spin. When he opened his eyes, he was somewhere else, a place made of his own memories. He saw himself as a child, crying because other kids called him weird. He saw himself failing tests because he was too nervous. He saw himself on the spaceship shaking with fear. He saw every moment of weakness in his life. A shadow appeared. It looked like him, but darker, twisted. You are nothing, the shadow said. You are weak, scared, useless. The queen made a mistake. Everyone knows it. You know it. The shadow showed him visions. His friends dying because of his failures. The queen regretting her choice. Earth destroyed because he was not good enough. Just give up, the shadow said. Accept that you are worthless. It will be easier. Other challengers had broken. Here, proud warriors had fallen to their knees and surrendered. The trial was designed to destroy confidence, to make people submit. Do-Hyen looked at the shadow, at all his fears and doubts made into one terrible form, and he smiled. You are right, he said. The shadow paused. No one had ever said that before. I am weak. I am scared. I do not know what I am doing. Do-Hyen stepped closer to the shadow. But that is okay. I do not need to be the strongest. I do not need to know everything. I just need to keep trying. He reached out and touched the shadow. It felt cold, real. I am not here because I am worthy. I am here because I did not run, and I will never run. Not from enemies, not from challenges, not from myself. The shadow began to dissolve. It looked confused, almost scared. You cannot destroy me with my own doubts. Down said, I already know. Them I carry them every day, they are part of me, and I have learned to walk forward anyway. The shadow disappeared. The dark room filled with light. Dowie opened his eyes. He was back in the real world. Priestess Nia stood over him, her face showing something that might have been respect. The trial is complete, she announced to the waiting crowd. Human has passed. For the first time since arriving, Dowie heard Ethan cheering for him. Hi. Commander Draxus watched the human celebrate with his friends. The crowd was cheering for a primitive creature from a primitive world. It made Draxus sick. He turned and walked into the shadows. His followers waited for him in a secret room beneath the palace. 50 loyal warriors. 50 Ethan who believed the queen had gone mad. The human passed the trials. One warrior said, the people are starting to accept him, then we move our plan forward. Draxus said, we cannot wait until the ceremony. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a creature that was not Ethan. It had gray skin, 6 eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. This was Admiral Vex of the Vaughn Collective, the Dominion's oldest enemy. Is it time? Vex asked. It is time, Draxus confirmed. Tomorrow night, kill the queen, kill the human. I will take the throne and declare peace with the Vaughn, and in exchange you will give us the outer territories. 3 star systems as we agreed. Draxus smiled coldly. A small price for ending this foolishness. The hologram disappeared. The warriors prepared their weapons. Tomorrow would change everything, but they did not know that Kim Yuna was suspicious. She had noticed small things over the past weeks. Guards being moved, servants whispering, Draxus meeting with people in dark corners. Her 30 years as a diplomat had taught her to see things others missed. That night she went to Doyun and LT Unk and GT's room. Something is wrong, she said. I cannot prove it, but I feel it. Someone is planning something bad. Draxus, Diane said immediately. He has hated me since the beginning, and lately he looks too calm, too satisfied. Be careful tomorrow. Stay close to Jiho. Doyun nodded, but he also noticed something else. The queen had been acting strangely. She had not visited him since the trials. She seemed distant, sad. He decided to visit her instead. The queen's private chambers were at the top of the highest tower. When Dohun arrived, the guards let him pass. Inside, he found Aura standing by window looking at the stars. You should not be here, she said without turning. Why have you been avoiding me? The queen was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, tired. I have lived 4,000 years. I have seen the rise and fall of civilizations. I have made decisions that killed millions and saved billions, and I have never been wrong. She turned to face him. Her golden eyes looked old, heavy. But choosing you, I'm afraid I have put you in danger. There are those who will never accept a human at my side. I thought they would change after the trials. They have not. Draxus Dehound said. Draxus and others. They see my choice as weakness. They think I have grown soft. She walked closer to him. Perhaps I should send you away, keep you safe. Let them think they have won. No, the queen looked surprised. I did not go through those trials to run away now. Down said I did not face my worst fears just to hide. If there is danger, I will face it with you. Valara stared at him, then she laughed. It was a beautiful sound, like bells ringing. You truly are remarkable, little human. Even now you surprise me. They talked until late into the night. About fear and courage, about change and growth, about what it meant to rule and what it meant to serve. When Do-hun finally left, he felt like he understood the queen better, and maybe she understood him better too. The next night the attack came. Assassins poured into the palace from secret passages. They killed guards, they set fires, they moved toward the throne room where the queen was supposed to be meeting with her council, but Yuna had warned everyone. The humans were armed and ready. Jiho fought like a demon, using human military tactics that confused the attackers. He moved through corridors, striking fast and disappearing before enemies could react. 3 assassins fell to his weapons. Myra helped wounded guards. She used human medicine that worked faster than Ethon treatments. Lives were saved. Yuna coordinated the defense using her communication device to tell loyal guards where attackers were coming from. She could not fight, but her information saved dozens of lives, and Doi ran toward the throne room. He found the doors broken down. Inside, Draxus stood before the queen with 100 traitors behind him. Valera was surrounded. Her loyal guards were dead or dying. "It is over," Draxus said. "Your time has passed, old queen. The Dominion needs new leadership, someone who does not waste our glory on primitive species." Valera stood tall, even now, defiant. "You are a traitor. You will be remembered as nothing. History is written by the winners." Draxus raised his sword. "Stop." Everyone turned. Doyen stood in the doorway alone, unarmed, a small human, facing 100 warriors. Draxus laughed. "The little pet comes to save his master. How touching. Your warriors do not know the truth, do they?" "Down," said he. Walked forward slowly. "They think they are fighting for Ethan honor. They do not know you sold them to they." Vaughn. Silence fell. The warriors behind Draxus exchanged looks. "Lies." Draxus said, "Kill him." Nobody moved. "Check his communications," D-Hound continued. He had no proof. He was guessing, but he had spent weeks studying Ethon culture, learning to read their body language. Draxus had the look of someone who was hiding something big. "Check who he has been talking to. I think you will find Admiral Vex of the Vaughn Collective." Some warriors pulled out their devices. They searched, and their faces changed from confusion to horror. 3 star systems. One warrior whispered. He promised them 3-star systems. "Our homes," another said. "Our families." The army behind Draxus was no longer behind him. They stepped back, away from the traitor. Draxus screamed. In rage, he ran toward down, sword raised, and Queen Valara moved. She crossed the room in less than a heartbeat. Her hand caught Draxus's throat. She lifted him off the ground like he weighed nothing. "You dared to threaten my claim," she said. Her voice was ice and fire. "You dared to sell my people to our enemies. You dared to call me weak." She squeezed. Draxus struggled, but he could not break free. "I have lived 4,000 years. I have conquered civilizations that were ancient when your ancestors were born. I chose a human because I wished to change, not because I had become weak." Her hand tightened. "This is what weakness looks like." Draxus fell to the ground dead. The remaining traitors dropped their weapons and surrendered. The conspiracy was over. Duyan stood in the middle of the throne room, shaking with fear and relief. The queen walked toward him. "You came alone," she said. "Unarmed." Against 100 warriors, I had to. You could have died, I know. She looked at him for a long moment, then she touched his face gently. You are either very brave or very foolish. Probably both, Down admitted. Queen smiled. Yes, probably both. That is what I like about humans. The days after the attack were filled with chaos. Drax's conspiracy was exposed completely. His communications with the Vaughn Collective were shown to all Ethon people. The warriors who had followed him were given a choice. Those who truly did not know about the betrayal were forgiven. Those who did know were executed. The Vaughn Collective denied everything, of course. But the evidence was clear. Other alien civilizations saw what the Vaughn had tried to do. Old enemies of the Vaughn became new friends of the Dominion. For the first time in centuries, alliances were formed not through conquest but through shared purpose. And at the center of it all was a young human who had walked into a room full of enemies with nothing but words. The claiming ceremony was held 1 week. Later, the throne room was filled with more beings than Doi had ever seen. Not just Ethon, but representatives from dozens of species across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to see the human who had changed everything. Down stood at the base of the throne, wearing ceremonial robes that had been made just for him. They were dark blue, the color of the Ethon sky, with silver patterns that looked like stars. His human friends stood nearby. Yuna was crying. Jiho was trying not to cry. Mai was recording everything for Earth. Queen Valara descended from her throne. She wore her full royal clothes. Her crown of fire burned bright. She looked like a goddess walking among mortals. But when she reached Du Yun, she knelt down. The crowd gasped. No one had ever seen the queen kneel before. The claiming ceremony has always been about possession, Valara said, her voice carried to every corner of the room. The claimed belongs to the queen, serves the queen, follows the queen. She looked up at Dune. But I do not want to own you, Park Di-hun. I want to learn from you. She stood and took his hand. For 4,000 years I have ruled alone. I have been perfect and unchanging, like a statue, and like a statue I was starting to crack. I chose this human not because I wanted a servant. I chose him because he reminded me what it means to grow. She turned to face the crowd. Today, I do not make a simple claim. Today, I declare Park Doyen to be soulbound, my equal, my partner. His voice will carry the same weight as mine in all decisions. His people, humanity, will be treated as allies of the highest order. The room erupted in noise. Some cheered, some protested, but the queen raised her hand and everyone fell silent. I know some of you doubt this. You see humans as primitive, weak, chaotic, but it is exactly that chaos that we need. They change, they grow, they adapt, they face their fears and keep walking forward. She looked at Doi with something that might have been pride. When our empire has become too rigid to bend, they will help us learn flexibility. When we have forgotten how to hope, they will remind us. Priestess Nia stepped forward. She carried a small knife and 2 ceremonial cups. The soul binding requires an exchange of blood, she explained, a permanent connection between 2 beings. Are you both willing? Valara nodded. Doan looked at the knife. He thought about everything that had happened, his fear at the beginning, the trials, the attack, the strange journey from nobody to this. Yes, he said, I am willing. Ceremony was simple. a small cut on each palm, their blood mixed in a cup. They both drank. Dunn felt something chain inside him, not physical. It was like a door had opened in his mind. He could feel Aura now, her age, her power, her loneliness, her hope, and she could feel him, his youth, his doubt, his determination, his joy. They were connected now forever. The ceremony ended, music played, food was served. Beings from across the galaxy celebrated. Later, after most guests had left, Diane stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The alien lights still amazed him. He wondered if they always would. His human friends joined him. The United Earth Coalition has decided, Yuna said, they want to establish a permanent embassy here. They want us to stay. All of us do, Yan asked. Jiho nodded. Someone needs to protect you. Besides, I have become fond of beating Ethon warriors in training fights. Meyer laughed. And I have enough research material here to last 10 lifetimes. The biological differences between Ethon and humans alone do smiled. So we're staying on an alien planet working with a 4,000-year-old queen. This is not what I expected when I joined the delegation. Life rarely is what we expect, Yuna said, but sometimes the unexpected is better than anything we could have planned. Footsteps behind them. The queen joined them on the balcony without her crown. In simple robes, she almost looked like one of them. Do you regret it? She asked Dohyun. Your life will never be normal again. He thought about it. He thought about Earth, about the quiet life he might have had, about the fear and pain and confusion of the past weeks. No, he said finally, I think this is exactly where I am supposed to be. Valera smiled. It was a real smile. Warm, human, almost good, because there is much work to do. The galaxy is changing. Old enemies are becoming allies. Old empires are questioning their ways, and it all started because a young human walked into my throne room, and I saw something special. I still do not understand what you saw, Dohan admitted. I saw the future, Valera said, not a future of conquest or power. A future of growth, change, two civilizations learning from each other, becoming better together than they ever could be apart. She put her hand on his shoulder. You asked me once why I chose you. The truth is I chose humanity. You were simply the purest example of what your species can be. Young, uncertain, afraid, but never giving up, never stopping, always growing toward the light. Dowie felt tears in his eyes. He was not ashamed of them. What happens now? He asked. Now Valera looked up at the stars. Now we build something new together. They stood there as the alien sun began to rise. A queen who had lived 4,000 years. A boy who had just started to understand who he could become. Two species who had once been strangers, all facing the same sky, all moving forward together. This was not an ending. It was not even a beginning. It was something in between, a moment of change, a turning point, and like all turning points, it was full of possibility. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, and the universe would never be the same again.